Good morning. I know y'all saying, Red, what you doing in the kitchen with that apron on like my grandma? Well, I'm in the kitchen cooking like your grandma. That's what I'm doing with an apron on. And I don't want to mess up my little cute house dress. So, again, for those of you who may just be joining, if you want to know what I'm doing in the kitchen with an apron on like your grandmama, I'm in here cooking in the kitchen like your grandmama. Okay? The weather's about to get a little cooler, and I don't want to have to run out to the store to grab food. And the way the app doesn't work for me because number one, I don't trust nobody hauling my something to eat, as the old folks say. And that waiter price uh, can drive the price of some food up. And now you know if I get my food to the door and I've had to pay that waiter app price and the food ain't good, I'm really gonna be mad. So I have decided that I was just going to get ready because it's supposed to be cold in Mississippi this weekend. So I decided to prepare some things that would last a few days. It's Wednesday, so through the weekend, if I've got some collard greens and candied yams and some cornbread, I can always bake a meat. If I got a pot of red beans already done, that will carry me all the way through the weekend. And I'll be prepared for family and friends that may drop by through the cold weather since I'm going to be home for a while. And trust me, I am taking care of myself and knowing when to get off of my feet and when to rest, and I'm still following my doctor's orders, okay? All right? Now, I know y'all saying, well, Red, what you doing with your glasses on? These are my red readers. Whenever you see me with these on, I got them on because I need to see. My arms ain't going to get no longer. And once you get 50, you do incur some visual problems with your visual acuity. I require reading glasses. And when I'm picking collard greens and I want to make sure that they are good and clean, I'm going to put some glasses on so I can see because I don't eat grit, dirt, or worms. All right? So we've picked them and we've washed them that preliminary time, and so now we cutting them up real fine. You know, I don't like no big old greens. I like them cut up small like that. They cook better. They cook more tender, and they eat better. And if you're from really way down in the country like me, you know when you get off by yourself, there are some people now, I'm not saying it is you, but they'll put the fork down and get in those greens and bread with their fingers. I know you don't do it out in public. And I know that I wouldn't dare accuse you of doing such a thing, but I've seen it done. And I heard that they even eat better that way. Speaking of being in the kitchen, my cousin Stephanie Howard has joined us. And honey, let me tell you, that's one of the cooks. I come from a family of great cooks, but if you're in the southwestern part of Alabama and you have an event that's coming up from Mobile to Montgomery or anywhere in southwestern Alabama or the southeastern part of Mississippi, you need to call my cousin Stephanie Howard and let her get you some good something to eat. On those tables, some good decorations, and you can best believe it's going to be some good looking food and it's going to be clean. But let me tell you why I've come to talk to you this morning. I want to talk to you about the power of audacity. The power of audacity. The audacity that some people have is actually powerful. Have you ever heard somebody say, girl, do you know she had the audacity? That means that they have that unashamed confidence. They've given themselves a special kind of permission. Or, as we say from where I come from, they just got to the point where they just didn't give a damn what you thought. There is some power in audacity. And reading my inbox, I told you all that if you had questions, that eventually I would be able to address those questions. And now I am. A lot of people that you come across don't always have social graces. Now, I'm not telling you that I could edit or live perfectly by the Emily Post Blue Book in every social situation. I'm sure that taken out of our natural habitats, we may all commit some faux pas, or some, that's a faux pas is a fancy word for it. Anyway, but I was raised right. And when you're raised in the South around the kind of women that I was raised by, you learn some good basic social graces. And one of those things is you first learn that there are some things that just ain't your business. And there are some things that nobody got any business asking you. Now, where I'm from, there's a saying called everybody's business ain't nobody's business. And my grandmama Mabel Howard used to say, if you want to get away in the world or make a way for yourself in the world, learn how to stay in your category. That didn't mean to limit yourself, but it's good to know your place and know when to stay in it. And trust me, everybody's got a place. Now, I'm not saying that that makes you beneath anybody or anybody superior to you, but sometimes some people will get out of their place. And by me being a woman, and me being a woman for a long time, I'm going to speak specifically as a woman to women about women. Now, I'm sure that some men do this too, because you have some men that get out of their place and do things they don't have any business. But for the most part, women have a tendency to become a little bit more social more quickly than men. And in being social, some of them, either because they don't know any better or they don't think that you know any better, will ask you some things that just ain't none of their damn business. Some of them do it to do what these young folks call throwing shade. Well, honey, if they want to throw shade, I'm fixing to show you how to pitch a tent. Okay? Because when you go up under a tent, you get plenty of shade. Now, a young lady who is transforming her life in several areas wrote me to ask me how she should respond to some questions that are asked by ignorant, insensitive people. Now, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt of being ignorant. Now, we all are ignorant of certain things, but you don't have to stay ignorant. But when you find somebody that's just ignorant, you give them the benefit of the doubt, realize that they don't know any better, and exercise a thing called grace. Be gracious and kind in your first response. And when they ask you something that is clearly none of their business, whatever it is, it could be about your money, your life, how you did something, your personal life, your relationship, because people ask me all kinds of things. They used to throw a lot of shade here on Facebook. I noticed that's calmed down some, or maybe it's because I haven't been on here as much, but people will do that. Your first response is to simply take a deep breath and smile and say, why is it that you ask? Why do you need to know? It works very well. Now, for the ignorant, they will learn that that may not have been an appropriate thing to ask you. And they'll back off and they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any harm. I was just wanting to know for, and sometimes they'll give you a legitimate reason, like, well, I just wanted to know because I have been having trouble in that area and you seem like you handled it really well and I just want to know what you did. Now, those people are ignorant, not in a bad way, they just didn't know. And they are asking because they truly want to know, and believe it or not, there are some questions people can ask you out of admiration because they want to know how you did it. but those are few and far between. But when you are asked an inappropriate question that crosses a boundary, you can always just simply say, well, why do you want to know? But now when somebody starts asking you some questions deep off in your business, you need to learn how to exercise, utilize, and implement the power of audacity. If they dare ask you something, ask them something. Here are some of the things that work for me. Red, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you married? Is your husband still dating? Red, I don't never see you with a man too often. You do like men, don't you? Not quite as much as your husband or boyfriend, but at least we're not dating the same people. How dare me say such a thing? Red, why you go and get braces in your 40s? I said, well, I had some misaligned teeth for one, but I wanted to let you know that there was still some hope for that grill in your mouth. Would you like the name of my orthodontist? He's very good. Red, have you ever been able to maintain a good relationship with any of your exes, your ex-husband? No, but I'm very friendly with yours. How is he? Red, you know, I've known you quite a few years, but I'm not familiar with your, I met your son. I'm not familiar with his father. Is his father anybody that I know? Is your cheering daddy anybody that your husband know? Well, Red, I've been married to my husband 20 years. I know, and your oldest child is only 17. So, are all of the daddies of your children somebody that your husband know? You see that? Red, how much weight have you lost? I lost a lot of weight. I lost, so far right now, I've taken off, depending on what weight, from my highest weight, I've taken off about 70 pounds. And I do need to take 30 more off. Red, what did you do? I changed my life. I changed my lifestyle. And I simply just got tired of being fat. And I wasn't going to go into my 50s carrying that weight and endangering my health. And I have a beautiful granddaughter, a son, grandsons, and even grandchildren that I call my grandchildren that I want to live for. As crazy as this world is, I want to be around. I've noticed that a lot of people will ask you how you lost the weight, and I tell them, especially those who have battled theirs as long as I have. And people will ask you all kind of questions. If you're looking well and you're healthy, if you've changed your life in any way, some of them will ask you because they want to know, because they sincerely are on that journey. There are others that will ask you things, like I said, that just ain't their damn business. Somebody said, I noticed that your facial structure has changed. You look younger. Did you have plastic surgery? I'll say, I noticed that you're a certain age and you don't have any children. How many abortions have you had? Usually that stops all the questions. Now, am I considering having surgery? I sure am. I would love to have a tummy tuck. I would love to get me one of them flat stomachs. Get a little liposuction. You know, I got some love handles. I still got little love handles, and you know how as you get older, you get that little pooch down there. I would love to get something done about that. I sure would. But right now, I got to still stay on that elliptical and work with them weights and even get down on the floor sometime with them leg lifts. But honey, trust me, when I get the coins to go and get that sand back in the hourglass, I ain't gonna hide it from you. I'm gonna tell y'all who did it, how much it cost, so if anybody wants some help, they can get it. I'm usually pretty transparent, if you mean that much to me. Now, I try to use the power of Audacity because it's just not polite to look at some people and say, that ain't none of your damn business. You know, because it's possible that that relationship may be worth salvaging. So if it's a relationship that's worth salvaging and the person is coming to you with pure intentions, it's okay to just say, well, you know, why do you want to know? But if you see that they coming at you because they trying to throw shade, I'm finna give you 4 poles and a canopy so you can pitch your tent. People ask you something that's utterly not their business, and they're not asking it to help you or help themselves. I heard you and your husband was having marital problems. I heard the same thing about you. You don't think they dating the same woman or dating each other, do you? Especially when you're not going to stay with that person. Or if it's a man and they ask you about your wife and you going through a divorce, you say, yeah, well, we had some problems, but I hope that your old lady and my old lady wasn't dating the same man or dating each other. Now, whatever journey you on, sometimes the best way to ask the question is like you already got to your destination. When they start asking you about how you did something, say, well, honey, I can sure see why you asking me. Because when people ask me viciously about my weight loss, a lot of times I just say, well, honey, I can understand you asking because I can see you getting a little pudgy there too. And I don't want you to get as large as I did because you couldn't get away with carrying that much weight because you ain't as pretty as me. You're a little hard in the face. So you don't need to get too soft in the body. That's right. In the meantime, I always tell you to take care of yourselves. And taking care of your mental health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health is just as important as taking care of your physical health because all of those affect the other. And there are people who will attack you emotionally and mentally. And if you don't know how to stop them, they will make you as sick as a physical illness. Because they can put you in a state of mind that is rottenness to the bone. I especially want to give some encouragement to my friends and family who may live alternative lifestyles or who may be in same-sex relationships. It may not be for me, but I support your right to live the life that makes you happy. And when people start asking you questions about your children, if they happen to have that type of relationship, one of the best comebacks I ever heard was in a joke that I'm going to share with you. And the reason why I specifically address that is because we all have family members who have been to jail, been on drugs, alcohol, may have had children out of wedlock, may have alternative lifestyles, they may be struggling financially. Whatever you got in your family, I got one in mine. We always want to talk about our doctors and lawyers and all those people that's got more degrees than a thermometer. But one thing about it, my grandmama said one thing about it, honey. She said, I got a bunch of grandchildren. Whatever they is, y'all, all y'all is mine. And ain't now one of y'all no better than the other. Now, that's just how she said it. She had over 50 grandchildren, 104 great-grandchildren, and 35 And now one of y'all know better to me than the other one. And all love is mine, and I love you the same. So I applaud the people who are honest enough with themselves to be who they are, and are honest enough with us to be who they are, so that they don't deceive anybody. They let you know, and they get it straight from the gate. And I promise you, even those of you who identify as gay, lesbians, transgender, I appreciate you for doing something that so-called straight folks can't do. You might be gay, you might be transgender, you might be a lesbian, but you're straight from the gate because you let us know what time it is. And I appreciate that, and I applaud that. And you know what? I don't have to agree with everything you do to love you, because I know that some of you all don't agree with everything that I may say and do, but you show me love. Here's an example of how nosy people and people who try to use what they think is wrong with you, or an area that's not perfect in your life, to bring you down. This is how you handle it. There were 4 gentlemen having lunch one day. One was the father of a successful lawyer. One was the father of a successful physician. One was the father of a successful businessman. And one was the father of a son that he had accepted his lifestyle as being gay, who was a caterer. And the 3 gentlemen got together with the father of the gay son and asked him how his son was. They were sharing their stories. Well, how are your boys? John, how's your son? Oh, you know, he passed the bar a few years ago, and he's been steadily working, and he's now a partner at one of the finest law firms in the city. Congratulations. Well, John, how's your son? Well, you know, he graduated from medical school some years ago and has worked his way up and has opened his own practice, and it's doing quite well. Really? Well, William, how's your son? He's doing great. Got out of business school, went back, got his MBA, and he's now working for one of the top Fortune 500 companies in the country and doing quite well. As a matter of fact, he's doing so well, he's been buying gifts. Really? So Joe says, yeah, you know, when my son made partner, he bought his girlfriend a beautiful Corvette sports car. Wow. The other one said, yes, and when my son opened his practice, he bought his sweetheart a beautiful, beautiful condominium. Really? The other one said, well, when my son moved up in the business world, he sent his sweetie on a trip to the Caribbean for 14 days. He says, really? Wow. Then they looked at him and they said, well, Jack, how's that boy of yours? Well, you know, Jack's doing good in the catering business. He just got a contract, and he just got him a new Corvette, moved into his new condo, and just got back from a vacation from the Caribbean for 14 days. I hope y'all don't miss that. Remember, the power of audacity works when being gracious won't. Sometimes people take being kind and gracious for being weak. But if you can live by this simple rule that I've learned to adapt in my life, if they dare, you dare. Some of y'all might need to rewind this to catch that joke about those 4 sons. I love you. I feel like you love me back. And when kindness and graciousness aren't powerful enough, activate the power of audacity. Because if they dare ask you what they ask you, you ought to be asking them what you want to ask them. And when you say it, if they can't answer, when they can't give you your reply, you know what my famous line is. Now fix that. Talk to you later. And if y'all have any questions for me, by all means, send them to my inbox. And I will come on here and I will address your question and give you the answer that I've either prayed about or thought about, lived through, or experienced. with anonymity because it's still your business. Thank you for trusting me with some of your trials, your triumphs, and even some of your tragedies. And know that just as you've had yours, we've had ours too. And if you handle it the right way, baby, one day you can be like me and not look like the things you've been through. Bye. Talk to y'all later. Got to get these greens on. What's for lunch or dinner? Collard greens, candied sweet potatoes, cornbread, fried and smothered pork chops. And no, I'm not finna be eating all of that like that. But if you stop by, you know you're welcome.